It's time to spill the tea. Hello!
You there, and welcome to
A Spoonful of Theatre.
Theatre.
And this is another one of our Spill the Tea Theatre Review podcasts, where we review a piece of local theatre right outside the theatre foyer. I'm TJ, theatre director and practitioner.
And I'm Sam, a teacher of language, literature, and self-proclaimed show business lovey.
Now, Sam, where are we?
We are currently right outside the Gateway Theatre, and we have seen something in their Black Box Theatre this
Yes.
evening. TJ, what have we seen?
We have just watched Scaredy Kat Presents by Gateway Theatre Arts. So this is probably to most of our viewers a theatre that many of you might not have been to, but it's been around a little while. I've performed on this stage many
Yes,
times
you
and
have.
done many shows here. And Gateway Arts is a company that is based here, and they are very much about bringing different types of theatre that tell a message to audiences. So we were very happy to come and see this. So we just watched Scaredy Kat Presents. Sam, what's your first thoughts?
What are my first thoughts with this one? I do have thoughts on this one. I have thoughts on the story it was trying to tell. And it aims to tell a story of young people dealing with social anxiety and mental health. And I think that is a very, very important story to tell.
Absolutely.
In the 21st century, where we are now moving towards, I don't think we're there completely yet, but we're certainly moving towards an open culture discussing mental health from young children to adults. This production tried to tell that story.
Yeah.
Did it tell it well, though? I'm going to say no on this occasion, for a few different reasons, and I've got some other notes on the production as well. But what about your first thoughts, TJ?
I think for me, it definitely is a really, really important topic to be talking about, especially in Singapore. I do feel like here, I mean, we both are in education, there is a stigma around mental health sometimes, especially with families. And I think it showed quite a positive story, or tried to tell quite a positive story in terms of parents' acceptance with children who are anxious, and I think there was many themes that the show were focusing on that were really good conversation starters, and I think that this piece definitely is a conversation starter for families, and is a story worth telling. But I agree with you, I think there was some creative choices and also some story plot holes and things along the way that did take me out of it as well. But I think in my mind, I was watching this as a piece of theatre in education.
Yes, right, yes.
So for
right.
me, this was a show directed at young teens audience, not necessarily myself.
No, okay.
So
yeah.
I viewed it through that lens,
Yes.
rather than a piece that I would normally go and see for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump right into it. So the story. What did you think to the script?
I mean, without giving it a synopsis, it's basically the young girl Kathryn, who seems to be paralyzed with social anxiety, and the way she tries to get through that social anxiety is through the medium of stop motion filmmaking.
Yes.
And there's lovely nods to Alfred Hitchcock, which I really like, because if you look at any art form, whether it's movies, theatre, song, music, visual arts, there are a plethora of well-known people that have their own demons, their own mental health issues, but have channeled it into their art. And so that was portrayed on the stage, I thought. However, the definition, the explanation, of what it was Kathryn was dealing with came far too near to the end rather than the beginning. And I felt it needed something dramatic at the beginning that would make the audience realize there's something going on here. Because the way it came across on stage was trivial, was petulant and rude at times. And so I felt from a narrative perspective that indication that there's more going on here needed to come closer to the beginning.
Do you not feel, I took that at the beginning though, I must say, as that sometimes that is the misunderstanding with neurodivergence, that initially it can come across rude and you don't always have context because people don't have a sign around their neck saying their neurodivergency. So for me, actually, I quite like the fact that that came later and the explanations came later for myself. But this is why we love watching theatre and people view things under different lenses. I think for me, where I had a problem with the script particularly was it felt a little bit too obvious, actually, in terms of, especially towards the end, it felt a little bit too obviously explained. Some of the lines and some of the text felt like a really simplistic version of explaining the conditions and the feelings that she was having. I just felt it wasn't quite as dramatic. I must say, as I was watching it, and perhaps you might have thought the same, I was naturally drawing comparisons to Falling, which is a similar script or a similar kind of it's exploring the similar themes. And I must say that dramatically it is in two different worlds in terms of the actual material itself. So shall we jump into performances?
Sure.
Yeah. So what did you think of the performances?
The standout for me, and forgive me, I've just forgotten her name. It's just run out completely in my head, but the young lady that played the mother,
Isabella Cham.
Isabella Cham, was the real standout for me, and it's because as you say, we are in education, and we've worked with children who have neurodivergence, special educational needs, mental health conditions, and we sometimes see how the parents deal with that, and that in itself is a spectrum. Like, how do parents deal with dyslexia? How do parents deal with gender dysphoria? How do parents deal with mental health conditions like ADHD or anxiety or that kind of thing? So I was really interested in how the parent was going to deal with this, and I thought Isabella played it beautifully. There was such authenticity and support in the way that she played it that it really stood out for me in tonight's show. What about you, TJ?
I agree. I think Isabella absolutely acted the socks off that role, and I think it was really needed. I do think that Inge and Ashi tried their very best with their roles, but they are two really tricky roles, actually. And especially for Inge, that getting that balance in such a complex character as a young actress. I think there was moments that it hit, and there was also moments it kind of fell a little bit flat as well.
I agree.
So I think a respectable job. However, I think it was fine for the setting in terms of a theatre and education show. For me, where I actually had a little bit more critique was actually the pacing of the show.
I quite agree.
So we had the director Johan Carlson, who I believe has he's based in Singapore now, but has also toured in Singapore on many productions before. I think it's the first show we've seen by him, if I'm not wrong. For me, there was some nice staging choices, but however, I did feel there was a pacing problem overall. There was a lot of slow moments, I thought, and it's very hard with most scenes being just two people on stage to kind of get that pacing. And I think that's going back to a script problem more than anything. But there was, especially the transitions, I wasn't a fan of the kind of same narrative way. The same kind of way of showing the transitions each time. It was kind of a low light and we see them packing up things. I thought we're in a stop motion thing. There could have been something more creative using the screens, or there could have been some other way of distracting us or showing time. I felt that became a little bit repetitive throughout the show for me.
Since you mentioned it, let's move on now to the technical aspects, the set and everything. What did you think of that?
The set for me was really colourful. I think it brought it into a really childlike world. Patrina Dawn Tan was the set designer on this occasion. I've seen many of Katrina's works, and I always think she does a really good, functional and creative set. For me, I did like the colors and the levels. It was one of the bigger HDP apartments in Singapore, I must say. However, it gave room to some action to happen throughout the space, and yeah, it was colourful and it did the job.
For me, set was the one that I struggled with the most, for kind of the same reasons that you allude to, is that it was very ostentatious for the situation that the characters were in. We are dealing with a single parent family, and that bedroom was bigger than my apartment. I felt it was too ostentatious for that family situation. I would have, to increase the stakes a little bit more into the story, I would have made the bedroom smaller. I would have perhaps maybe included the living room so that Ash's character, we would see her waiting and get frustrated that she's distant. She's being forcibly distant from Kathryn because Kathryn's the other side of the stage in the room. Do you know what I mean? I just felt that bedroom was a little bit too ostentatious. The other part of it as well is that there's a lovely happy ending, and a conclusion to the stakes, what we see with the stop motion animation. And unfortunately, the way the set has been designed interfered with your watching of the stop motion animation. Yeah. And that was very disappointing for me, unfortunately.
But the thing is, what annoyed me about that was actually a really simple fix, because for most of the show there was a camera being projected onto kind of a very big blank space, but on the final moment they decided to stretch that image over the whole back wall, which had a lot of posters and set pieces on it, which actually then did block your view of some of the lovely stop motion characters because they were over the posters, so it didn't become clear. So the really easy fix would have just been to keep it in the space that the projection was projected the entire time.
Absolutely worked.
And it would have done the job.
Yes, it would have done the job.
So that to me was a really easy fix, and I did feel like it lost the impact of the final lovely stop motion, which we must give a shout out to Cine Gang SG. What a lovely stop motion final piece. Just wish it wasn't blocked by the stretching out of the set there. But I do have to give a big shout out because he is one of my favorite creatives in Singapore. I have to give a shout out to Frankie from Mascots and Puppets. He made some beautiful figurines and a beautiful puppet in the middle of the show. We won't spoil exactly how that comes, but Frankie actually made all of the puppets for Little Shop of Horrors that I did. And he's just the most creative man, and I know he's also got a very exciting project coming up. Ooh. So if you're a fan of theatre, go follow Mascots and Puppets, because they've got something very big coming your way very soon as well.
I do want to pay tribute to the director in that how well these stop animation models were featured by having them on the stage as if she's filming and things like that. So it really brought focus and attention to how beautifully they were made. So yeah, those little miniatures were gorgeous.
That was very interesting, and I do think, working in a school, we do stop animation as well, and it is one of our kids' favorite things. So I think for the audience that's coming, they will really enjoy that, and it might inspire some children to go and explore stop motion animation, which is really great. So I think there's several things in this show that I think for the target audience they will really enjoy.
Now then, ladies and gentlemen, as you know by now, when TJ and I go and see a production, we always give it a rating out of 5 spoonfuls, but we never reveal how many spoonfuls we are going to give until the moment has come, and that moment is now, TJ. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay, so why a 2 for you?
I think that the piece is extremely important to tell, and I think that the audience of teens that it is for will really get a lot out of it. I just think dramatically and artistically for a wider audience, which I think it is aiming for, there were some things that I think just fell a little bit short tonight for me, but glad I saw it, and Gateway, keep telling really important stories, because I think it is a really important space that you are filling here in the Singapore theatre scene.
Yes, I quite agree. It was the story and how long it took us to get there, to defining and really putting a focus on the the social anxiety that Kathryn was experiencing. And also, as I say, the set was a little bit too ostentatious to me. That was out of sync with the family situation. So yeah, that's why I give it 2. But I completely agree with you. Carry on, Gateway, telling stories like this. They are really important stories to tell.
So, if you would like to come and watch Scaredy Kat Presents by Gateway Arts, it is playing here at the Gateway Arts Theatre Black Box from the 21st to the 31st of May.
And tickets are available on Cystic. Right, my tea's gone cold, love. Shall we leave it there?
So
that's cheerio from us. We'll be back soon.
And it's a hurrah from me.
And to the cast and crew of Scaredy Kat Presents.
And to anybody else performing in Singapore theatre,
break a leg.